Welcome to Minority Report, and I'm your host, Lachelle Smith. Minority Report is a video blog on YouTube celebrating Black-owned businesses. And on this episode of Minority Report, I have the founders and some members of Black Brand. This is the new Chamber of Commerce here down in Hampton Roads. So Hampton Roads is part of what, 7 cities? Yes. So define what exactly is 7 cities, and what does that mean to the Virginia area? How does that work? Because I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't know. So you have to educate me.
It is. It's different, especially if you're not from here. So 7 cities is what it actually is. What it is. It's 7 cities that make up Hampton Roads. Right. So you have Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Newport News, Suffolk, Hampton, Chesapeake. I think that was 7.
Yeah. So Black Brand is the Chamber of Commerce for just Hampton Roads, or have you extended to the other cities as well?
So we're piloting in Hampton Roads.
Piloting in Hampton Roads.
And then looking to extend this concept to other urban areas all over the country.
All over the country is the goal. Okay, so I need everyone just down the line, introduce yourselves and what role, leadership role, or membership role you have with Black Brand.
First, I'm Bashiri Durham. I'm the co-president and co-founder.
Co-president, co-founder.
Blair Durham, co-president, co-founder.
Kezia Hendricks, one of the founding members.
Founding member.
Keisha Reynolds, Chief Communications Officer, and one of the founding members.
Okay. So this is a pilot program. So this is a pilot program, that means you're just starting, you're just building. How long have you been in existence? And then what exactly is the program that you plan on taking national?
So we had our very first meeting June 25th of 2016.
Okay. So a little over 6 months.
Yep.
Okay.
Officially actually incorporated as a business on September 22nd.
Nice.
Became a nonprofit. We launched the organization on November 25th,
Wow.
which was Black Friday.
So we are really in infancy here.
We're really in infancy.
Okay.
We've already grown to 50 members.
Nice.
Which is pretty phenomenal. National news already.
Right.
Made local news here. And the piloting piece I think is important because when you look at just kind of this area, the demographic, you're talking about number 1 for the school prison pipeline, the state of Virginia. Yeah, Norfolk being the number 1 city within that state. You're also talking about number 3 in terms of police brutality. So some really significant things happening here that we feel like a chamber or a new chamber concept really would help to.
So we're looking for the local Black-owned businesses to try to address some of these social issues. Because being number 1 and number 3 for some very notorious things that are negatively impacting our community, like that's not necessarily a good look. Like that's a slight. So what do you feel as though that as entrepreneurs, as business owners, how do you think that you can try to reverse that narrative?
So I guess I would say it's multifaceted. One side is, yes, we have to have the chamber. We have to have an organization that understands the flow of the dollar in this area. So one is home to the world's largest naval base, right? So we talk about contract dollars. We've got to provide network, facilitate business development. And then on the other side, we need to do our own things. So we have to have our own schools, our own hospitals, our own manufacturing, our own grocery.
Right.
And so that starts with us.
Right.
Us kind of coming to terms with the fact that we build that
Economics?
Group economics, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would want for you to explain, for those who are not members of chambers or feel as though that they're not really knowledgeable as to what a chamber is, then they kind of miss out on what the benefits of a chamber is. So kind of explain, like backpedal just a little bit and define what a chamber is for somebody who does not necessarily know what that means, and then what does that mean to this community? If a chamber was lacking before, what does Black brand bring now?
So, and I don't want to hog the blame. Everybody here is very straightforward knowledgeable.
Don't worry about it. I'm pointing people out.
Okay. Well, this is actually this area's third attempt at creating a black chamber.
Okay.
A black chamber.
A black chamber.
I think that's important because we have very unique needs that may not be represented, or at least not represented well by other chambers. Yes. For example, we have a mayor that acknowledges 60% of poverty is in the Black community, but then we have an economic development team who says that no, we're not going to put anything in place in particular that addresses that demographic. A Black chamber can influence that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it.
Having that membership, by knocking on those doors,
Right.
going to those meetings, and saying, you know what, our tax dollars are wrapped up in what you guys decide to do.
Right.
So we want to be able to have access to how that money moves.
Right. I mean, definitely there's strength in numbers always. And then when we pull our dollars together and either withdraw from the system that's already in place, or we say, hey, we do have money. If you want our dollars, then you need to make an attractive offer to us where we don't have a problem paying into the system that is also keeping us so far behind everybody else. So I think it's definitely beneficial to have a chamber. I think it's definitely beneficial to be a member of a chamber.
Oh, we love events. We do events.
Like since November,
Yes,
we've
it's
had
a
quite a
month.
few events. So it's not just like meeting for the sake of meeting. That's one thing that I just can't stand. Like don't call me to
Tiger
meet.
dinners and
Don't call me to meet for the sake. We not just gonna be sitting around eating chips and salsa.
Right.
When I come to a meeting, I need to leave with some straight directives as to what is expected of me as a member, or just participating, or you want my engagement. So I mean, I've noticed that you definitely do like to engage, with your members in the community at large. How have you been successful at communicating your message, being that you're so new, and this is the third attempt? Sometimes I've noticed that when there's kind of like a shadow cast from what other members have done, and other attempts from previous chambers that either came together, were really strong, and then fell apart for whatever reason, you still are kind of like, you're still in the shadow of that. You still kind of have to like take on this kind of reputation that you didn't earn, for yourself. So how have you been able to effectively communicate that this is something new? Like we want people to come back, we want you to be engaged, we want your dollars, we want your input, we want your engagement. How have you been able to communicate that?
I love that question.
I would like to answer it as a member. What attracted me to Black brands?
Just project, baby. Just allow me to hear all this. I'm trying to sit on the edge of myself.
So what attracted me to Black brands would be the constant engagement. I've had the opportunity to join a lot of different organizations, but Black brands stood out to me because they were genuine. And you need authentic relationship. You need authentic interaction. So what Black brands has compared to other organizations that have attempted before is, like you said, that shadow, that cast isn't really theirs. It's real people. So the fact that you can be part of something and really feel like you will benefit, because a lot of organizations, they exist but there's no benefit. And what I can appreciate about Black brands is that there's benefit.
Okay, so talk about the benefits. I need to hear about the benefits.
So the benefits, I would say the benefit is Black brands shows their members the connection between success individually, as well as how you can contribute, as well as, I guess, be successful in your business. And I think that constantly, having events that address issues that are important to me and my family is something that a lot of organizations don't do. It's a lot of like cookie cutter things out there, like, oh, we're gonna have a job fair, or yeah, we're gonna pass out coats during Christmas. Like, that's played out. And as a human being, as an active member of society, I don't want that. Right, I don't want that. I don't want to be part of an organization that's what all they do. I need someone to come in and actually build a relationship with me, and that's what Black brands is done. So that's the benefit.
I think one thing that we have done very well is that we have been transparent So we have acknowledged that there have been prior attempts.
Okay.
And we have spoken to those members of, the organizations prior to see what things did you guys do, what caused you to necessarily fall off, or what were
What made
the
you
potholes?
move?
Yeah.
Right.
So once you understand what caused, I don't want to say failure, but for lack of better terms, what caused the organization to collapse in the first place, then from that point you can kind of navigate what the problems are so that you don't necessarily fall into those same problematic issues that particularly affect Black organizations of being sustainable. And then I want to speak to the second part that you said as far as how we communicate as an organization. So I know that one thing that we do very well is we have our email marketing. And then we also have our Facebook page where we try to be very interactive. We have Instagram along with the website, which is currently. Do you want to put that up?
Okay. Oh yeah, back to the website.
But
And
yeah, we are.
It shall be launching shortly.
But you can go and become a member, fill out the membership form. But as far as getting extensive information about the organization, we are in the redevelopment phase of our website.
But you are available to be contacted directly.
Absolutely.
If anyone were to have any questions about membership, benefits, events, things like that. All right, come on, Rosemary.
I think our humility has served as a benefit and an asset to our success thus far, even in keeping it with the previous chambers that have gone and preceded us, and kind of speaking with the elders. I've got to yell now because you guys can't hear me if I don't yell. So basically, our humility has kept us at the forefront and the cutting edge of the success we've experienced thus far, in that we've remained teachable and we've postured ourselves to connect with the elders in the community to learn from their pitfalls and to learn from their mistakes. So because of that, we have not been short-circuited by arrogance or becoming too presumptuous in our attempt to do something fresh and new. In addition to that, let me just go ahead and make this while I got my time.
Brother, yes.
Basically, I think another feature of our chamber is we have a consumer facet to our chamber. So we actually give the marginalized community a platform and a voice to have a say in what goes on financially in their community, and we do that via education, because a lot of us don't even understand the power of our dollar. And so we have the Black Brand Institute as well that's going to serve in the community so that we can change the culture, the climate, the paradigm, the philosophical understanding of how we need to do business, how we need to collaborate, and what it means to bring that in a collective for the benefit of all persons involved in our communities that are underserved, that are underrepresented, that just don't get the attention that's necessary.
Okay, there's so much that I can say to that, but I'm gonna
Yes.
first.
No, I was just thinking, so we don't look like a chamber, right?
And just the name Black Brand, because it doesn't
our
say
name,
Chamber of Hampton Roads.
Right, our logo, right?
Right.
Something about this. Most people don't even know what it means,
Right.
but it is attractive.
Right.
What is that? People ask me the question, they want to be a part of something that's fresh.
Right.
So then we explain, you know what, this is actually Afrocentric. Let's talk about Sankofa. Let's talk about going back and fetch what it is that we've forgotten, which is this element of common unity, community. We used to know what it was like to be cool, even if we didn't believe the same way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's our very first community meeting was called Njama. You know, if we're gonna talk about group economics, we can't even talk about that until we address who we are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I want to commend you on the fact that, as you were describing, that you did consult with your elders and you did go back to the previous chambers to discover, let's get to the root of the issue. Let's find out what didn't work so that we don't make the same mistakes again. And I think people in our age group, and I don't want to, put a label on necessarily our age group, but when we do try to strike out and do something new and do something fresh and do something different, we're not always as well received from our elders. And I think there's a disconnect in the conversation where we want to be able to connect with them.
Right.
We want to learn from them. We want to glean from them, but it's like we're too radical. And it's like, how are we too radical? Y'all started this.
Right.
Like, we picking up where y'all
Right.
left off. It's like you started out radical, But then for whatever reason, whether it's economics, whether you know you got a good government job, whether you know were able to afford to move out of the struggle, now you're not radical no more, but you calling us radical.
Right.
Nah, we not radical. We tired of being broke. We're tired of being marginalized. We want something more for our children, and we demand more from our government.
Right.
How is that radical?
Right.
But it is radical, because radical means getting to the heart of the matter, right? It's radical. We have to do that.
We can be radical, but we're not tyrannical, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Sure.
Like, we're not coming in bullying anyone, you know, but we have legitimate demands.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with demanding a certain quality of life, especially if you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, you've gone to college or you've opened a business despite being denied a small business loan, despite not getting that government contract, you forged ahead anyway. So if I'm forging ahead and I'm putting in the work, I demand that my seed grow. You can't stop me.
Right.
And I think people are just offended by the fact that we're saying we're not going to settle. When was that ever a part of our DNA? When was that ever a part of us as a people? When we just simply settled. So when you're saying, I see that there's neglect in my community. I see that there are 7 cities, but let me just start with this one. Let me build up with some principles. Let me establish a foundation. Let me go back and find out what went wrong. Let's get to the root of the problem. Let's rebuild. Let's start where we are and then try to branch out. We want to be a blessing where we are, but then we want to eventually grow. So that's what you're doing with Black Brand. That is the brand. The brand is we're growing and we want to bless who we are, and then we want to be able to branch out.
I was gonna say that brother made a very good point that humility is one of the key factors that helps the organization grow and thrive. Because a lot of times in our culture, pride and bitterness against each other cause a lot of failure. I would say almost 95% of any organization that failed is due to lack of humility and an increase in pride. So I think as the next generation from our, I guess, the individuals who preceded us, that we come to them in a humble factor rather than you're old and you did the old way, you did the wrong way. I think it's funny how you can end up making the same mistake in a different way because you think that you're doing something new when you're actually, doing the same thing, making the same mistakes.
And the door is open for the previous members to return. Have any of them reached out and said, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to be a part. Like, I'm ready to get back in the game.
We actually had 2 of the founders of the previous chapter at our launch event. One actually hosted the launch, the event. And so that was all of the confirmation we needed.
Right.
Because we're doing it right now.
Like, exactly. When you get the
I
torch,
support Black Brand as it stands. You don't
As
have
it
to
stands.
add anything to your name. You
Right.
don't gotta change your logo.
Right.
You know what? Thank you for
Right.
picking up where we left off.
right.
And we
and it's
maintain
one
those
thing,
conversations
right,
too.
to keep having that dialogue. It's not like, oh, we just passed you the torch and that's it. And it's a hard thing to get that torch when there's no flame. It's one thing if they passed the torch and it was already lit and y'all just picking up where they left off, but that's not what you got. Like, you're building not from nothing, but it's like
there
you're
have been years
It's
that
been-
have elapsed since
right.
the last chamber.
So it's like, you like really are rising from the ashes. And it's definitely worth, commending you guys. And that's why I drove all the way down here to talk to you. Because I realized this is a new thing. Like, I read the other articles that were written about you and things like that. And I was like, I have to meet these people. When you're a self-starter, it says so much. But you can't just start, you have to finish. I think I just posted that on Instagram.
Right.
You can't just start and you have to finish. And I mean, I really see the commitment, I really see the passion. I was like, no, I need to meet, these are my people. And I need to meet them, I need to see, what it is that they're doing and highlight that.
So I'm Bashiri Durham. I am the co-president and co-founder of Black Brand.
I'm Blair Durham, co-president and co-founder.
I'm Kezia Hendricks, I'm one of the founding members. Keisha Reynolds, Chief Communications Officer and also a founder.
I want to thank you again for being on Minority Report. I will catch you guys next time.
Bye.